in order to get your FreeShow video into OBS, there are a couple of things you need to do. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually download the NDI plugin for OBS. So let's start there first. I'm at my browser and I just typed in NDI for OBS, and you would click on the Open Broadcast Software, which is what OBS is. And what you'll find is this program called Distro AV Network. And you would say, go to download, and it would take you to GitHub, and you can, let's see here, new created NDI source default. That's all here. And what I do is I just scroll down to the bottom, and you will find all the different versions. So if you're running Linux, if you're running Windows, you would pick one of those particular options. And in my case, I would pick a Mac because I'm running a Mac. And so you would download that. Let's see here. And I've already got NDI for OBS, but let's see what it does. Okay, so I installed it, moved it to the trash. And let's see, now we would go to, let's check out OBS, and we'll go here, and you'll be able to see your NDI sources down below in your sources. And so you can hit the plus sign, you'll find all your different sources. We're going to be needing that so we can find NDI sources. Okay. That's the first thing. The next step is going to be going into FreeShow. All right. And so if we click in FreeShow, we will have options on the settings side. So we go to our settings in the upper right. We're going to go over to outputs. And in the output section, I've got a primary, and the primary is enabled, and we got enable NDI is activated, and then it's set right now to an invisible window. All right. And so what that means is it's not going to send a signal to a certain physical screen. It's just going to make it available through NDI. Okay. And so that's fine for this particular scenario because I don't have a screen to connect and send the signal to. But if you did have a screen, you don't need that on, and you would actually just pick a screen. Okay. So you would pick screen 1 or screen 2. In my case, I've got 2 screens, but I'm recording on both of them, so I didn't turn that on. But for you, you would pick the screen you wanted to go to. And whenever we actually activate the output by presenting up here in the upper right, it'll go to that screen, but it will still also be available by the NDI setup that we have as well. Okay. I'm turning mine off for recording purposes. It's not needed for me because I don't have another screen. But this is going to be what the screen looks like, and we're going to look for this screen in OBS. All right. So now that we've turned NDI on, I can click here. My show is going. That's great. Now let's go to OBS. We're going to create a scene. Okay. We're going to start from scratch. We're going to call this the NDI tutorial. All right. And we're going to say, okay. And so I've got blank sources. So there's no sources here. I have to hit the plus sign down at the bottom. And then we're going to go to an NDI source. And that source is going to be FreeShow. We just got to find it. Okay. And I've got it set up here, but I'm going to name this one NDI primary. If you've never used this before, you won't have anything set up in your existing. So we're going to act like that's not there. If you have used NDI and OBS before, you may have a list of existing sources. If it's one that you need, you would click that. You would just click the add existing and select it. But for us, we're not going to do it. We're going to act like there's nothing there. Okay. So I hit OK. And then we got a source name option, this very first line. And it shows here my MacBook Pro and then FreeShow NDI, which we turned on. And it's the primary. So when I click that, I can keep everything else pretty much the same on my end. And I scroll down to the bottom, you'll see it's all there. Nothing needs to be changed here. I just hit OK. And you'll notice that the NDI source comes in. Now, my show is set to be in 1920 by 1080. So if I go to my outputs, let's see here. So I've got it set to be 1920 by 1080, but I don't have the rescale output set up. So I don't worry about that. I just resize it on my own. So I'm going to say, okay, it's good, but it's showing up super large on here. All right. The way to fix that is to just right click. You can right click on your source, the NDI primary in my case, And then we're going to scroll up or just move our mouse up to the transform option. In the transform option, there's about 1, 2, 3, 4 categories. In that fourth category, there's this option that says fit to screen. And when I click that, it makes the source fit to the screen. All right. And then I can actually do some work to make it bigger if I want to, because this is actually a little bit smaller than I want. So if I scale it down, I can do that. I can do that as well, but I'm gonna make it be as big as I can get it. The reason why it's doing this way is because my computer screen is not 1920 by 1080. It's actually a little bit different. And so I'm just going to position this to where those corners kind of match up. And let's pull this just a little bit more. And I'm just positioning it as big as I can get it to fill in the blue all the way across. And so there's still a little bit of a gap on this side, but it's good. It's good. Those lines are showing what's running over, but mine has black around it. So it's not extra actual pieces of the slide or the presentation. It's just black. So now I can hit transition. And so now on OBS, I've got what's playing on FreeShow, and I can skip to the next slide in FreeShow, and you'll see it automatically adjust in OBS. And so now OBS is receiving what's going on inside of my house of worship during the praise time, during the scripture time, and all that kind of stuff. And it's showing exactly what's being shown in-house, because I'm sending the entire output through NDI into OBS. And if you do that, and you maybe you stream through your OBS, so you can start your streaming, you can record, you can use it as a virtual camera if you wanted to send it into something like some other third party like StreamYard or Restream or something like that as a webcam, and you could have your service going through it that way as a webcam. The other thing that I would think about when I'm using OBS, at least in the past when I would use it with other ministries, the thing I would use it for is to show the camera. All right. And so if you were going to use OBS to show a camera, you would also want to make sure that your scriptures are not covering up the entire screen. Okay. Your pictures or your scriptures are not covering up the entire screen. So you would probably want to use a lower third template for that. So this gets a little bit more advanced. So this is phase 2. If you want to use OBS to get a camera input into it, along with to get a lower thirds scriptures, lower thirds lyrics, and things like that. So the first thing we need to do is we got to set up a capture card. So you need something like this. I've got a little, I don't know, this is probably a $20 capture card that plugs into my computer. And the other part of this card is connected to my camera. So I'm going to plug this up, and we're going to connect this into our OBS. All right. So I've got a camera set up over here that's connected to my camera, or to my computer. All right. So now I'm going to go to OBS again, that same scene. Okay. And this is my NDI tutorial scene. Okay. So I've got the NDI primary. We're going to make some adjustments to that, but that's okay for now. We're going to add a camera. All right. So we're going to say video capture device. And we're just going to call this, this is the camera I'm using, GH5. And we're going to find it. And we just hit the first option there. And it's going to be the USB video is how that capture card shows it. So we're going to select USB video, and we're going to hit OK. This is my GH5 camera, and it is here. All right. And so it's actually the red box. So it's actually fitting to the screen. I've got my NDI with the blue box that's a little bit bigger, so it can actually fill the screen like this, which is great. Now, the problem is if I transition, okay, let's see here. Let me so I got the GH5 at the top. I really want my camera to be below my lower thirds, because I want the lower thirds to be on top, but these are not lower thirds. This is a full slide. It's covering up the entire thing. So we need to go into OBS. All right. So this is a phase 2. So this is, if you just wanted to show what happens in the church meeting, you're done. You're good. But if you want to show a live stream feed with a camera over OBS with the lower thirds of your scriptures, while you're still showing something different in the service, then you need to stay tuned. All right. So we're going to go back into our settings, and I've got a couple of different outputs. We go into our outputs. I've got one called stream. I got one called output one, but let's look at the stream real quick. All right. So I got stream scripture. It's not enabled right now, but the style is called stream scripture. So if I go to my styles, let's see what it looks like for stream scripture. This is the style called stream scripture. I've got about 5 different styles I've created. And this one has an override. So to override all the regular slides in terms of any lyrics or songs, is going to override those with the lower thirds lyrics with a logo. And then I've got the override for scriptures with a template. All right. So it's going to override the scriptures with a template called lower thirds script box. The key part of this is that I've turned the background off on the active layers. So you see how you can see there's a blue background on this particular slide. What this is doing in the style section is saying we're going to disable the background. I don't want to see any blue background, but I do want the text, but I want it from this template to be arranged. Okay. And I want the text, if it's a slide of lyrics, to be in this template arranged, but I don't want the background. So I've got the slide and the overlays active. Okay. So now if I go back to my outputs and we go back to that stream output down here at the bottom, I can turn that on and you'll notice it pops up here. Now this one has NDI on as well, which is very important because you do need to send the signal out to NDI to OBS. And then we've got transparent here. That is important because if you don't turn on transparent, then you're not going to be able to see the video that we talked about, the GH5 that's below the NDI. Okay. So that's active and it's on. Let's see what it looks like if I go to a show. All right. So I got my show here. Let's click on the next one and you'll notice it's got lower thirds and it's showing here, and it's showing like a slide, and it's got the scriptures kind of overlapping. So if you click this, you'll see it's kind of overlapping the scripture because this is not actually a scripture slide. This is just a regular slideshow. See how it's got that little icon, like a music icon? That means it's not in as a scripture, but this one was imported as a scripture. And so if I click on this one, you'll see the idea is that it's going to have a box here. This is just a template. If you want a template like this, you can go to my website, GarryBJr.com, and you can download this exact one. You can customize it and change the color. You can change the white, the orange, whatever colors you want to change. You can change that if you wanted to. All right. But that's the one we want. All right. And that's only because it has a scripture on it right here. Okay. Now, that is the style. I've got the stream. I've got the primary. This is in-house, the primary. This is what people are going to see in the church. And this is what I want people to see online, plus my video background back here. Okay. So let's go back out and let's go to OBS. All right. So in OBS, I've got this NDI primary set up right here. Since I don't want to show the primary service, I want to show the lower thirds. I'm going to add another one and we're going to disable this. So I'm going to turn that off by hitting the little eyeball and we're going to hit the plus sign. We're going to add a different NDI source. Okay. This one's going to be called, we'll call it NDI stream. And you can name it whatever you need, but I just name them as what makes sense for what I do. All right. So I've got NDI stream. I got to find one called NDI stream because that's the name of my output in FreeShow. And here it is. I got the primary and the stream. They both have NDI activated. So I can say, okay. And now I've got my NDI stream on. I've got my GH5 on. The NDI stream is on top, but we got to find it. So let's activate it and see what it looks like. So if I click on this, I see that there and it's changing, but I don't see the NDI stream. And I wonder if it's this video effect that I've got going on. So let me mute this. Let's make that go away. And let's click on this one. Oh, I know why. We need to right click on this. We got to make it fit. So hit transform and we're going to say fit to screen. And there it is. Remember how those come in a little bit bigger. And so they're overlapping and overlaying. So it looks like it was all black screen, but really it was just running off the edge. So if I turn my GH5 back on by clicking the eyeball, you'll be able to see that there. So I can transition now from what's showing in service to a live stream feed. And this is the pastor, the worship leaders, the whatever cameras you've got connected directly to the computer. Those are now running over NDI. I'm sorry, they're running over OBS as a part of your sources. I've turned off the primary service screen and I've turned on the NDI stream. I'm sorry, the primary NDI. I've turned on the NDI stream for the stream output that we've got in FreeShow. All right. So now when I change scriptures, you'll notice in OBS, those scriptures will change on the screen here. All right. So this is a lot. Okay. So during the service, what I would recommend you do, if you want to show a camera during your live stream, which is typical, I would set it up to where you just have an NDI from OBS that's for a lower third stream, and then your camera, and that's it. And you have somebody that's running the FreeShow program, and that information is going to automatically filter in because it's connected to OBS via NDI, which is just a network connection. Okay. So all the computers have to be on the same network. In this case, I'm running them from the same computer. All right. My computer's running. It's pretty hot because I've got OBS running. I've got FreeShow running. I've got a capture card connected to it. I'm recording the screen and all those kind of things. So you want to have a pretty powerful computer to make sure you can maintain this. One that's got a built-in fan. All those kind of things are important. And it could just be a desktop computer that's pretty efficient and running and so forth and powerful. So this is what I would say is the best way to get your service from FreeShow into OBS, whether it's going to be a lower third service or in terms of the live stream, or if it's just going to be a duplicate of whatever's showing in service with the slides and so forth, like we have here. If you have any other questions about this, please let me know in the comments. Once again, my name is Gary, and my goal is to empower the nations with understanding media and technology for small ministries all over. All right. Thanks again. And until next time.